their nightmare.
You must know you cannot win. I serve the line of the slain king. It is my honor to fight.
The audience truly loves it, and we've had people truly being inspired by it. And I come here and I'm doing press for the film, and my castmates are here, and I'm so happy to see them. And I absolutely loved working with Zach. He's great, such a great creator and creative, and loved working with Netflix. So for me, all in all, it was truly an amazing experience that I have absolutely no regret about.
You heard it up top. We are begrudgingly exiting a space vagina wormhole once more in our penis-sized rocket ship as we return to the hyper-masculine, super sci-fi, totally original Part 2 series, Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. Here.
Seven Samurai.
Seven Samurai Part 2. Normies Like Us with your hosts, I don't know, the Colin giver.
I guess I'll do Micah Sarius.
Yes, and of course this is Jacasus,
Jakey.
like Nemesis, you know.
But you go by
That's
Jacob.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the only name I could remember.
Yeah,
Sure.
so welcome into the podcast. Reminds you it's hip to give Scar. The sequel to the incredible Rebel Moon we just raved about.
It's like the Scar King. What if the Scar King met the Scar Giver from King Kong?
Right. You know what?
Versus-
I kind of wish that would have happened. When
A more interesting film.
Yeah, we're going to be doing spoilers for the incredible Zack Snyder space epic, but I wish the Scar King would have been there. It would have been more interesting. You're right. So
Yeah.
Well,
We somehow returned.
this is my favorite
this.
movie. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
somehow the Scargiver returned.
Somehow the Scargiver returned. We didn't look. We talk a lot of Zack Snyder. We'll talk about this movie, obviously. I want to ask you guys, like, have you, of course, thought about this franchise? Have you returned to it? Have you rewatched that first one? But also, just like, obviously we know we're doing this later after the reception, right? And we know the reviews have come in, and it has not been universally praised. It's not people's favorite movie, Jacob, as you just lied and said it's yours. But just also, what do you think about old Zachy boy? Like, is this the one? Is he going to movie jail for this? Is it over? Is it Jover?
Yeah.
Is it Zach over?
Yeah, like he can't keep getting away with this Zach to Zach flops like this. Here's where I'm
I don't
at.
know.
I've been texting Jacob a little bit, another friend of the show, Kaita, about this. And where I feel now after having to watch that is I feel like Kendrick Lamar feels about Drake. Like I want him gone.
Wow.
I want to hear. I'm
Very topical,
upset.
Mike.
I want to make a 7-minute song about his bad movie. I hate the way that you write, the way you direct, the way you cut. Like I'm upset.
You're his biggest hater.
I'm his biggest hater. And again, I previously was on a side of like, it's not hurting anybody. Let him make his silly teenage movies, you know. But now I feel I was hurt by this.
But it's just it's truly tremendous to watch someone fail at every level. And I wanted to ask you guys too, and I want your answer to that question too, Jacob. But I also want you guys to like think and consider like these movies are not just Zack Snyder. Obviously, he does every aspect of it. Again, we'll talk about it. These are his wife's co-productions as well. Deborah Snyder is his movie production partner. And I want to ask you guys, like, do you think he rolls over in bed in the morning and she thinks like, God, I have to support this man's artistic vision. And he says like, Deborah, I had the dream again. The dream about harvesting the wheat in slow motion. We have to make the movie. And she says, yes, these are the ones. We have to make these movies.
I like to think it's like Legos. She's just like, I support my guy. He's got a little hobby. He likes to make his little movies, and you know, good for him. Like
These are almost a hobby, Mike. It can't be serious.
No. This didn't need to be told, Jacob. How about you? Where do you?
Is he in movie Jacob?
Well,
is he in movie jail,
jail
Jacob?
for me.
After this, what's going on?
No, you know what? This is not even my least favorite Zack Snyder movie. I'll tell you that up top.
Oh,
Well, I'll
fair.
tell you this right
It's
now.
his worst rated as of right now.
I probably don't hate it as much as you guys. I thought, the first hour was terrible.
Second hour was bad. Right.
One of the worst movies I've ever seen. But once they started actually defending the village, I thought it was at least a little more entertaining. It was kind of fun watching this whole thing play out. So I like the second hour better than the first hour, but the first hour is so bad. I was like, oh boy.
And what about the first
slow
2
motion
hours before the previous film?
Well,
too?
that's the question. Is this worse than the last movie? I don't know. But actually, I think Army of the Dead is worse than either of these movies.
Really? And that's his worst in your mind?
Probably. I really didn't like that movie either. But he's made some movies that I like. 300, Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Snyder Cut. I'm a Snyder Cut defender. I love the Snyder Cut.
You like that 4-hour movie. You can truly say that right here.
It's better than the theatrical
you say
cut
that
of Justice League.
Again,
but have you rewatched it ever?
That movie.
Well, I have no reason to rewatch it. But because it was so good that I got it the first time, really.
You can't experience it again. Yeah.
But really, yeah, I mean, his last couple have not been great. I like Watchmen too, but not Army of the Dead, no. This movie, no. This was, he pitched this to Star Wars. He was like, let me make a Star War. We didn't get that, but we got Snyder Wars instead, and I think that's even better.
I don't know.
It's been an Orson Welles trajectory to compare him to the greats. He started out,
Yes, 2 directors that I would definitely
and then just
compare.
diminishing returns after that.
But so, Mike, that begs
even
the
calling
question.
300 Citizen
I think
Kane
it was a trap. I think we were tricked.
Well,
yeah.
But so here's the thing: we're coming up on a milestone episode, Normies. We're coming up on 300. Now, the question is, Mike, do we continue dunking on this guy? Is that what this becomes? We've said, like, the episode we want to do for that one is let's re-examine 300, but then does it just become us again going like, well, fuck this guy?
Well, maybe
I think it still
that's
holds
when we
up.
can determine, is he in movie jail? Were we hoodwinked or weren't we? Maybe I could have my dish
He'll
back
never
then.
be in
300 seconds long.
I don't think he'll ever be in movie jail because he has this hardcore fan base that's like, whatever you make, I'll fucking watch because I'm a Snyder cultist till I die.
But I've seen even people on the
Snyder
subreddit
cult?
for the Snyder Cut saying like, we can skip this one, or even saying that they'll wait for like the extended.
We'll wait for the Snyder cut of
whatever's
this
coming.
movie.
Yeah,
That's the real thing that
crazy.
scares me. Not 300, but there's going to be another version of this, and can we just not?
Well, obviously, the way this movie ends is, sequel part 3. When are we
I would
gonna get to that?
assume the way this movie ends, it's actually setting up 2 sequels, a quest and then a battle. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
But again,
Well, he said he wanted to
talk
make
about
like 6 movies. Like, this is his Avatar. Like, James Cameron will focus on Avatar for the rest of his life, making sequels. He will focus on this as long as they let him, as long as they keep giving him money.
Who?
Wow.
Zack Snyder, I guess.
But Netflix can't sustain this. That's the difference.
But even if people didn't like it, if they watched it, I don't know what the viewership numbers are. Netflix doesn't always release that info, but
Yeah.
No press is bad press. So even if everyone's hating it, if they're still watching it, then that counts,
Sure.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess before we jump into the movie, my take is it's like, I think Zack Snyder is the Candyman. And like, the more we acknowledge him, the more he will return and do damage. Like, we need to stop
Slashing
looking at
our
his jean
throats,
jacket.
right?
Like, don't look at him. Don't watch his movies. We can't give him
Yeah,
power.
I
Don't
can't
beat
look
him.
away. I can't look away.
I can't look away. Right, that's the problem. So,
Wow.
well, I've scarred my soul going through this, so I guess we could just jump into, our spoiler discussion of Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, Electric Boogaloo, right after this. Whew, baby.
Look, I gotta defend my boy Zach.
Go
The
for it,
number
man.
one fan.
So if Zach is the village, and you are Kora.
And you're the evil mothership that's trying to take our grain.
Look, getting into this, we're back.
We're back.
When this started, and I'm watching, it takes forever to kind of get going. I'm like, I wish Charlie Hunnam would have just killed you all in the previous movie. I'm like, I wish you were all dead.
Wow. Well, obviously, like you said, somehow Admiral Noble returned.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite character.
It's like, what was the point of that climax? Again, I shouldn't ask questions.
Well, this is this is my take, is that, yes, this movie is bad. The first movie was bad. But if you combine them into one movie, cut them down to one movie's length, would it have been a better movie?
And you need the extra director's cut, like sex and violence stuff too, or you
Yeah.
think just out of these two movies you could?
It's basically the plot of one movie, but you stretch it into two movies. Like the whole first movie is just meeting all the characters, right? And there's that battle. Condense that. You don't need that midpoint battle. Yeah.
No, Jacob, it's gathering the characters, because the meeting the characters happens in this movie where they all sit down and say, "Isn't it time we met each other?"
Right. That's what I'm saying is like the first movie didn't work as a movie. This movie is just bad. But if you combine them, maybe there's enough there that you can make one good or one mid 2-hour movie that would be like, whatever. It's forgettable but fun.
Yeah, I definitely think
that's my take.
Taking 4 hours and getting us down to 2 hours as
just
one
speed
story
up
would be better.
All the shots that are slow motion, play them regular speed, and there you go.
This is an hour-long movie, to be fair. Yeah, if it was at regular speed.
I won't.
No, never. Over my dead body.
Yeah, you'll never take my toys from me.
That's what. Yeah, he's 15 years old. It's cool and sick, right? Like my character's named the Scargiver. Like that's cool, right? Like yes, Zach.
I don't even hate Zack Snyder's use of slow motion all the time, because I think it works in some instances, like in 300 it worked. It's worked in other movies like Watchmen before, but in this it's like, what do the people want to see? How about us harvesting all the wheat?
Putting a bag of wheat on top of other bags of wheat.
Look, and obviously that was the headline in a lot of the reviews, and it's easy for us to dunk on this. I agree with you guys. What a ridiculous choice that is. But Jacob, when I said earlier he fails on every level, I'm not kidding. When I just say like, yeah, the wheat slow motion stuff is bad. When it's the battle scene, which you guys are arguing is the best part of the movie, which it's like,
That's
fucking
duh.
The movie, the parts where it has like 2 seconds of something going on, it's great. But when that rocket launcher guy pops out, blows up a spaceship, you're like, oh, this is like interesting and weighty for a second. And it cuts to basically the worst angle you've ever seen, where you can see nothing and immediately goes to slow motion. You're again like, Zach, you don't know how to edit a movie. Like, you're not good at almost every part of the filmmaking process. It's like astounding to watch somebody.
I would even say
failure at every level.
Even the cinematography, which
terrible.
I think there's some cool images, but the cinematography itself is really bad. And I was like, I thought like half the shots in this movie were like out of focus. I didn't know if it was my TV. I was like, what's going on? It looked like I was watching
thing going on. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, he's got like really shallow depth of field. So it's like
there's this whole article that came out that these investigators did like a fucking true crime podcast on Reddit when Army of the Dead came out, and was the first movie where Zach said, and I don't need Larry Fong or any of these incredible artists that I had in the past that like created my visual style. I'm going to do it myself. Where they said, look at his rig, because he loves to do those videos of showing off like, these lenses used to be tank lenses because, I'm a battler and stuff. He does all this stuff where people are like, the camera he has, we can look at it, is made in a way, because he like disconnects everything to get the body down, where they're like, you can see that where he's got the power supply rerouted, the cable is coming undone and he's losing depth of field because of like the rig is like created wrong, where people are like, he doesn't know what he's doing. Like he's failing at the wrong lenses level. Yes.
It looks bad. And maybe you do need a professional DP, because your shots are out of focus, man. Like I thought I was watching like the 3D. I thought it was the 3D version, but I'm not wearing 3D glasses, you know, so everything looks a little out of frame. Like I swear, like they kept cutting to these shots, and I was like, is that out of focus? Like what is going on? And then the lights are like so blown out with like lens flares that it's like I can't even see what's going on because these lights are flaring everywhere. It looks terrible.
Yeah. Some of the framing's really bad too. Just poor choices of framing regardless of focus. Again, every part of the craft is failing here, and we haven't even gotten to the writing or anything else.
You hear this, but like even his staunchest defenders are like, yeah, he's not great with scripts, but you have to understand the visuals he sets up, like in those early films where it's like the kick for 300 of the guy going in the pit, where you're again like, Larry Fong shot that movie. It is a cinematographer whose job was to do that.
300
Stop acting like it was Zack Snyder.
Watchmen and 300 had good framing and stuff because they were imitating. They were both based on comic books, and they were imitating the panels of the comics. So if you're just replicating the panels of the comics, yeah, it looks good. But
Yeah.
those two movies, yeah, compared to his newest movies, like yeah, it's crazy.
No, it's crazy. And again, he's obsessed with like Christ-like imagery and like everything is
Yeah.
so holy and epic. Like always, like grain is not that epic. Like it's 300 or like Gladiator. I'm gonna walk and touch my grain. Like it's like, all right, dude. Like,
Yeah, you don't understand when they're in the air, the specs are in the air. It's gonna look sick when it's slow motion, man.
yeah.
Well, and I've been saying to you guys I wanted to talk about something off pod, so I'll get it out now because
Okay.
this is my full thought on this movie, which is when you guys say like the biblical stuff, the epic, the scale and stuff, that is Zack Snyder. And obviously we talked about in the last movie, Jacob, you were like the most Zack Snyder shot ever is a space vagina opening up and a dick spaceship coming through. And I agree with that. But here's the new caveat. The newest, the most Zack Snyder thing that has ever existed in cinema now is in this movie, he makes the starship engine like a woman. It's like in the shape of a body of a woman, so much so that he has finally done it. He has broken down what he wants to do, which is to literally just make the form and figure of a sexy woman a dope ass vehicle that guys ride in and do battle. It's the most Zack Snyder thing that has ever existed. He's peaked. He's climbed the mountain. What else can he do now?
I
don't know.
We got 2 more movies at least. Fingers crossed. Yeah, it's
A whole
wild.
franchise, baby. You know, can get spin-offs going. This is bigger than Star Wars. You don't understand.
No, how dare you?
Is Gunnar in these films a self-insert for Zack Snyder?
Gunnar.
Is it because he's boring, Mike? Is that
Because
why?
he's boring and he wants like a cool like tough chick.
I love-
but, you know, like
I
not
love
like
the
too
main
tough
girl.
because that would be kind of gay, you know. But like she's
Fighting
tough
is
and cool.
scary, but you're cool and tough, and we will have sex.
Yeah,
He
You're not
learns
just a
courage
weapon.
over. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
There's so many great characters in this movie. It's hard to
Name them. Name every single one of them. The opening monologue, we start with Jimmy saying, and of course, you remember when we were at the battle pits of Zansapu, where we met Nemesis. And you're like,
Yeah.
no, like you want to be like, Anthony Hopkins, you're one doing this in one take. They didn't get a single second take out of you. Because when you say Gunnar, that is not how Gunnar's name was
Gunnar.
pronounced in the last movie.
That's how I pronounce it.
Like, you
He's
know
gooning
what?
out here.
Gunnar.
Dude,
He's
Gunnar,
the
dude.
ultimate Gunnar. Yeah, Gunnar.
Nice.
They're space Vikings, Colin.
I have the
Of course.
same pewter cup for visual bits for this week.
There you
drinking out of
are.
These
Yeah.
pewter cups in the
Gold.
long haul.
There he is.
You
Mike,
know?
of course, you are Prince Zapazu, whose bold, noble lineage. Should we do the naming ceremony now? Should I present you guys the little gifts I made? These tiny little
Did you make me a
Can
little
you explain to
tapestry?
me what the
animals.
function is according to Zack
Jacob.
Snyder?
strong as a mountain, General Jacob.
Thank you. Yeah,
Oh
I mean,
my
I'm glad, Anthony Hopkins, he describes the plot of the first movie for us, just to recap, so we know what's going on, which I found very helpful.
Yes.
Again, Zach is like, but Zach is like, we said this last episode. People don't read. Crawls are dumb. Have people just say it
have Anthony
while
Hopkins
you see
read it. Yeah.
crazy shit. You're like, okay, yeah, like I
ADD,
guess,
man.
man.
And then the beginning of this movie is paced so insanely because it's like, oh, remember all that cool stuff we just did in the last movie? All right, let's fucking hang out in this longhouse. Let's sit down. Let's tell each other our backstories. Let's hang out. Let's get ready for this battle. It's like none of this is why I'm saying you could condense these whole 2 movies into one movie, because it's like the first hour of this movie is basically pointless. And actually, the only thing I liked was the backstory, because I did like seeing some of the flashbacks. They were more interesting than the movie that we were watching.
That the prince lived in like space 1940s.
Oh, that was the worst one.
No, I like.
I was like, why do you have that hat?
Yeah, what are these choices that are being made?
Yeah, this is not what I expected.
When he comes out, he's like, dude.
What are you, like a fucking detective in a film noir?
Ma, what's going on, you dame?
Well, those things, the Griffins are Maltese Falcons.
Oh,
yeah,
Mike.
Obviously.
Mike.
Yeah, when I saw that guy in the first movie, I did not expect him to come from that planet.
1940s
Chicago?
gangland, Chicago,
Yeah.
planet. Oh man, no, some of those are at least something's happening with like that could have been in like that should have been part of meeting the crew, like and then so
Yeah,
he
that
leaves
should have been in the
1940s
first
and just
movie.
volunteers himself to slavery. Like, what were you doing?
Well, he
What-
doesn't
that was the
explain that
worst
because he
one.
just says I was smuggled out. He never says like, and that's why I ended up,
With the Griffin.
They
The
basically
only-
just keep interrupting each other. They're like, you think
Yeah.
that's a
You've
tale?
told your story,
You
now
know
let me
what?
tell my story.
And then
It
one
is.
guy literally goes, Kora, you haven't said your backstory.
She's like, no, I have. She's like, but
Yeah.
have you? She's like, okay, I guess I'll
I
tell
told
more.
you.
She's like,
Gooner,
I have a
but-
couple times actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's going to be a lot happening here, but yeah, the just telling the backstories again. It's exposition, just through like it's all.
Well,
tell, don't
basically, is
show.
they've
Well,
all
hold on.
been
Yes.
wronged by the Empire in some way,
Yes.
or the mother,
Okay.
the mother world, I should say, not the Empire.
I want to. We're talking
The Martha
characters, but I
world.
want to rewind it just
Why'd
a
you
little
say that
bit
name?
more because the Martha world. Because Jacob said the pacing thing. I want to
Mhm.
point out some stuff because here's what we're saying it, but I want to really linearly lay it out to say like it starts out with the resurrection of Christ. We see the Greco-Roman. It's Ed Screen. Jacob.
He's
Did
being
you like
birthed
that?
out of the womb. Yeah.
Oh my God!
And
he
he's in
is the
crucifixion
chrysalis.
pose, T-pose.
Yeah.
Yes, and he wears
Resurrection.
literally the Greco shawl. But
Mhm.
Jacob, did you like that Daleks are in this movie? His brain
wasn't sure.
damaged enough.
Yeah.
Again, who are those fuckers that were walking around with a red box like in the previous movie? Apparently they do
I
that.
feel
and
like-
that's all we'll ever know about them.
He's trying to make the world seem like, oh, there's so much world building. It's just like Dune, you guys liked Dune, right? What if we had some like
So-
weird guys that we don't explain?
And you're telling me
Mm-hmm.
that a flap can open up on the back of my head, and you can put a fucking USB in there, and fucking if I'm dead, they literally say the words. He was dead for so long. We don't know how much brain damage he has. And you're
Well,
telling me I can go in this goo, I can be plugged in, I can be resurrected, but I have to make sure I get 30 sacks of flour from a goddamn planet.
look, these people
to
gotta
make
eat.
sure that everybody can be fed. We got the goo. We got
Dog.
the space goo.
True.
I think it's something
true.
with Admiral Noble has like he's like cybernetic or something, because in the first movie he had like those hoses on his chest that he was like recharging or
just
something at one
drugs.
point.
He was having
Yeah.
sex with the worm.
He's got
True.
some weird bio stuff going on where you can like, that's why they can save him. I don't know if they can like bring everyone back from the dead or just him.
Well, no, because they like are discussing like when they arrive at the longhouse, like, oh, he's dead. Don't believe me? I'll say it again. He's dead. Isn't that sweet? He's dead. And they're like, oh,
He's
the
definitely
mothership has-
dead
they have to
and
go
not
back to
coming
the
back.
mother world as
I mean,
protocol. Nobody knows
yeah.
about
In-
resurrection. That they can do it.
In the same scene, Mike, to say, you're telling me he's dead? That's great news. Kora, you're our hero. What are you saying? You're saying he's alive? You just promised us he's dead. You're like,
I did a
what do you-
countdown of like,
you
here it
just
comes.
Yeah.
you heard that
Well, we
2
thought he was
seconds
dead.
ago. You can't be that angry. Like, what are you talking about?
Somehow
No.
he returned.
Somehow
And
you're
then-
turned. So, but sorry, just real quick. Again, the
Yes.
pacing thing. The reason that I wanted to outlay this. So we get the resurrection. We go to this Earth, the Longhouse, the setup. Who are your friends? Show them that we greet our heroes. Do, 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 do. It ends with
Yeah.
General Titus. This is my big point to Jacob's weird pacing thing, saying, tomorrow we're going to wake up and we're going to learn how to fight
Harvest some grain.
and be people, and we're going to be badasses, and I'm going to get you up at the crack of dawn, and we're going to fight for our lives. The next cut is him being woken up by the villagers, them yawning and going like, oh, it's so early. Our
Mhm.
warriors are saying this as the villagers say, come on, we got to harvest grain. And then we get 15 minutes of the slow motion grain, and it's so long they split it in two, put an end screen scene in between it, then go back to the slow motion grain.
I know.
Look,
What-
you got to show how much these guys are bonding. Okay, they're all bonding. They're having a great time. They're cutting down this wheat.
But the editing is wrong. Where literally Titus is saying
Yeah, it doesn't
we
make any
have to
sense.
cut to the training montage, and then they don't do the training montage. It's crazy.
I thought the wheat was like, oh, we're gonna train you by learning how to cut this wheat because that'll be like that'll
Mr.
help you.
Miyagi style.
Yeah.
No, and like
But
yeah,
no, they just need to cut the wheat. Yeah.
Titus, who's the only name I probably know, is like, yeah, we're gonna train, and then he's like, why am I waking up so early? Like I noticed that too. It's like, because that was your plan to wake up early.
You said it.
Why are you upset?
I feel like that was a post thing where they're like, oh, we
Right.
shot these scenes. This doesn't make sense, but we're just gonna edit that anyway.
But it's like, but like Zach is in the editing bay with this guy, and the guy turns to him and he's like, we can't have him do this thing that he just said he's not going to do. And Zack Snyder's like, no, it's good because we split the movies up, and in the real cut, we'll fix this mistake. Like you just imagine him saying that, where it's just like.
But did you get that? Like
any of this?
The whole time he's drinking, they're like, oh, this guy, he likes to fucking drink, and then at one point he's like, psych, I was drinking water the whole time.
About the spring water.
What does he mean? I'm so worried about this battle that I was drinking water so I could stay alert.
Yeah.
But the only two characters that I thought were somewhat interesting in this movie is Titus and Nemesis.
Well,
right?
hold on. Okay. So you just said their names. Let's do characters.
My two favorite characters.
Now, Mike, we did all that. We set up the bread and stuff, and they're milling the wheat. I mean, they're truly doing chores. Like, it's ridiculous.
Right.
Where they sit down,
get that wheat
and then you have the worst stock improvised dialogue ever of like, how many guns are there? Remember, I'm in charge of the guns. We need to know how many guns there are. And Titus just goes like, shut up, everybody. It's backstory time. Now, Mike, go through all the backstories.
Literally one by one.
Yes, please.
I mean,
well,
jeez, if I can remember.
They're all, basically the point is they're all wronged by the Empire in some way, like I said.
We start with Titus. Who's like, I was a general.
Yeah, he was a former general. He refused to fire on some innocent people or something, and then they're like, okay, well, guess what? We're gonna blow up all your men right in front of you. And then so he's guilty about that because he basically caused all his men to die.
Perfect. Doesn't explain how he got to the Colosseum.
Well, then they're like, you're gonna become like a slave. You're gonna become like a gladiator slave for us.
Right.
Then you have Nemesis. This one was crazy because let me just explain this. She did not know how to fight beforehand, but she chops her arms off and puts robot arms on that already know how to fight and teach her how to fight.
Taught her to.
It has her ancestors, bloodlust and whatever. But here's what's crazy. So yeah, she doesn't know how to fight, and they cut to her using the hot knife to cut her arm off. But if you could only hold the hot knife with the metal hand, how did she cut the first arm off?
She must have cut one arm off.
Traditional style, just old school, hard way, no heat knife, right?
Well, you can hold the handle, I think.
No, the hands heat up the knife.
That's the whole way you have to have the robot.
But then the dudes have the blue ones. The bad
they made
guys.
it cool. Well, Zack Snyder wanted a lightsaber fight. Just don't think about it too much.
Yeah. Of course.
I'm also going to call you guys out. In our last episode, I say, isn't it true that the villains had a blue lightsaber? And you guys both go, we don't remember. And you guys clearly weren't like watching.
I don't know if they were in the first movie.
He pulls
Admiral
out the
Noble
he has, lights
just
up.
has like a staff.
But it turns blue when he uses it. You guys have to understand, Zach is incredibly smart. He's doing something very clever here, where unlike Star Wars, where the villains have a red lightsaber and the good guys have a blue one, Zach's actually done the incredibly clever thing of inverting those colors.
Because you know what's really cool and edgy? Like Darth Maul and shit. Like, he's
that's
cool.
true.
So wouldn't it be cool if like the good guys had the red ones? Yeah, that'd be way cool.
Look, if I had a lightsaber, I would be a good guy with a red lightsaber too.
Yeah. So what her backstory is, it cuts to, it's basically the scene from The Last Jedi where like Luke is like in the fallen temple, right? Like it's just like a shot outside like a burning village as she's just like, I will avenge you. And she's like, and I became vengeance. And you're like, great, that's her.
Yeah, they killed her family.
Became a nemesis to the Empire that day. Yeah, they like space Vietnam basically her village, and she's like, well, fuck this, new hands. Who did?
But she's got a cool look when she's wearing her hat and stuff too later in the battle.
But it doesn't explain how did you end up on Spider Planet. It's just now I have metal hands.
Well, she's just going around doing stuff.
Next, Space 40s.
The worst one Oh, you forgot. You also forgot the other
Hello, my
lady that
baby.
I don't remember her name at all.
We're
Oh,
gonna get to the
Furiosa.
rest. Don't you
The
guys even
the Blood
doubt it.
Axe clan.
Well,
Furiosa.
I want to talk about Chicago first.
Talk about Chicago.
We're doing a little
That's-
ragtime real quick.
Yeah,
So
The
that's
prince says,
Tarak.
sure, Turok the
Turok.
dinosaur.
He's
Prince
got the
Tarak.
killing dinosaurs. Yeah.
And of
Yeah,
course,
whatever.
you guys know I'm a prince. And earlier he was called the Regal Snow Deer or whatever by the little
my
girl
gosh.
who like presented him the toy. And he's
He's
like,
Prince of 40s land.
so
and-
as a prince,
But then
I
his
had
mom kills herself.
my dad was like,
Nobly kills
"Oh,
herself,
do your
Jake.
treaty," but they didn't honor it, so they blew him up. And then they came to Space Chicago, where we've got birds. You're like,
And
okay,
then,
that's
yeah,
cool.
For
We
whatever
got
reason, my mom
hippogriffs.
just had to jump
Yeah.
off a balcony because it was the right thing to do.
Why did she? Even
Yeah.
that just seems so
To
Zack
protect the
Snyder. Where you're
bloodline.
like, what is? But
I
like,
know, what does that
what
mean?
is that scene that would end with a woman jumping off a balcony? In what world does that make sense? Where we're at a space alien's funeral in the middle of like a civil war or whatever.
Like, are they going to send a regent that has to, like, marry and have children with her? Like, is that why she balconies? I don't know, Zach. But yeah, it makes no sense. But it's
So
in
I
slow
ran.
motion.
I was a coward, and we don't get his backstory. And next she
Mhm.
goes, "Ha!" Or I'm sorry, they. It is a non-binary person who, of
Mhm.
course, says like, and of course, you know, my backstory. I would argue this is the best one because I thought it would look the coolest.
Mm.
I also came from a tribe not unlike your rebel moon, Velt. Where we were besieged by the mother world, and we were made into slaves. But I was freed by the heroes of the last film, Ray Fisher, a
The
man
Blood
who
Axe clan.
threw his career and life away for you, Zack Snyder. You reward him with 2 scenes and 1 line over the course of your epic saga. Interesting.
Mhm.
Well, that's what's weird is like, yeah, he died in the last movie. His sister is like, well, I'm not going to join you. I got to do other things. Until the end of this movie, I'll come and, you know,
forgot.
Deus Ex Machina at the end.
No, that's a Star Wars. But we're gonna name what movies are in this movie. But that's a
Yeah.
prize of Star Wars.
There's a
for sure.
huge Return of the Jedi moment at the end of this movie, like the
Sure.
whole end of the act. Yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
I'm glad we thought that. So, yeah, so that was like a Mad Max planet too, like the little gas mask when they're laser mining. It's like this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
Fury Road.
Furiosa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're Furiosa, but it's like that.
Let me
look
put
with
some
the
face
black-
paint on. Yeah.
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 You know,
else
so
do
all
we
my
have?
favorite characters are here.
Yeah. And no. I'm sorry. And obviously, Gooner is like, I'm the Gooner. I goon.
Gooner.
Goon Squad, you know.
They're like, good
I
squad.
love
What do you think?
Kora.
And then, of course, Titus or somebody else says, and Kora, what is your backstory? And Kora gives this story. And I say General Titus because General Titus kind of listens, but like ends it by saying, like, and that's all you're going to tell them? And she's
Well-
like, why? What else do you know? And he's like, I'm not going to say. And this is when she says, you're not going to say about the secret of the spring water?
Oh, it gets
You're
out
drinking
of it. Yeah.
water. Yeah. But no, she tells her story to Gooner earlier when they're alone.
Yes.
And then we see the flashback of her. We see the king, Carrie Elways, right?
Talk about all this.
Uh,
This is the scene of the movie. It's the
This is.
craziest thing that I've ever seen in my life.
Uh-huh.
Please go
Yeah,
through
they
it. All.
ambush well, you have Belisarius, her
Describe
adopted
all.
father.
Describe everything that's happening.
Oh
please.
man, I don't know. So they're going to like anoint a ship, right? Or like name a ship naming ceremony.
It's
They
going to be
do.
called Peacemaker because we're going to
Yeah.
have a peaceful
Because the
kingdom.
Right.
daughter, he's being swayed by his daughter who has these healing powers, and she's a good person and all this stuff.
Let's not war.
Yes.
Yeah. So he goes there.
Glinda the Good Witch.
There's a bunch of people playing violins with like hoods over their heads.
Right.
It's very ominous. With the, you know, probably nothing going on here. And guess what? Oh my God, it's a trap. And
Belisarius, where is the Sibsab? Why aren't the Zimzams running? What on earth is this?
it's an et tu brute thing where they have to kill Caesar.
Now,
Everyone's got their
what are the
knives.
musicians doing, Jake, with the masks on?
They're playing their violins.
They're scoring this assassination.
Yeah.
Mike, it is
They're
a
live scoring.
diegetic assassination. They
Uh-huh.
stop when there is dramatic
start playing
information to be expressed,
Yeah.
and when they are asked to play, they play.
And when
love
something
that for
dramatic
them.
is happening, they swell. It's diegetic score.
Gig
It's
for them.
insane.
Yeah. They're probably making a lot of money, those musicians.
No,
And they're wearing a
what
hood.
is this?
They can't know what's going on.
What
don't
is
know who
this?
killed
This is
who.
Eyes Wide Shut. What is it? Like
Yeah.
Zach was just watching that one night, and he turns to Deborah, and he's like, "I want that in there too." And she's
Well,
like,
it's like
"None of this makes sense."
he's trying to make the mother world aesthetics like super weird and like Illuminati. Like, oh, they're super like, yeah, they're like Eyes Wide Shut people. They're these rich jerk offs who wear masks and
But
do
if you
secret
like
ceremonies.
imagine the setup that's like, okay, listen, violinist, first chair, all right, we're going to do this assassination. He's going to come in and be pissed. Just be playing normally, moderately ominously, right? Then as
gonna
I
be such a
ramp
good
up
trap.
the exposition that we're going to kill him, then you really need to go for it, okay? Like really.
But how will we know your cues if we have the mask on? No, you'll be listening to what I say.
Yeah, listen to the dialogue.
Yeah,
The
follow
mask
what's
is so
going
you have
on.
plausible deniability.
Yeah.
You didn't see who assassinated who.
But you don't.
right?
I don't. But Mike, what is the plausibility when the whole thing is he goes at Tu Brute, we stabbed
Mhm.
Caesar. We killed Robin Hood men in tights. Goodbye.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Now my
Kill his
daughter.
daughter.
Do it,
Kill
do
the
it, princess.
child.
Do it, kill our child, do it. And
Right.
then she does it, and they all go,
What did you do?
It was her fault.
She did
Yeah.
it. She
What
killed the
is it?
king.
Everybody watched it. I don't understand. What's the plan?
That's the
What's
plan. They're just going to
script?
pin it on her, even
And
though they're all in on it. He
But to
convinced
just
like the
say
entire
it, but then
Senate.
they all could have just had guns and just like it could have been nothing. It
Because
doesn't
it
need to
wouldn't
be
look
anything.
cool. Okay, it's got to look cool. They all know it looks cool. They're like, all right, we're going to pin it on her. She's the scapegoat.
What if our main
that's what they
character,
do.
had to kill a child, right? That'd be pretty edgy, right?
Yeah.
But
Sophia
you're right, Colin.
Butala.
Well, I was saying all those
Sorry,
nice
real-
guys who were happy to stab the king and queen, they can't walk over and stab the daughter. Like it makes no sense.
it's gotta
You have
be
30
her.
dudes in there ready to murder anybody.
She's
I
got to
don't
get her
know.
hands dirty.
And you have to make the
Sophia
father
Butala
watch too
said
for no reason.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sophia Butala, who plays Kora, said she fought Zach on this. She didn't ever see her character being able to go this far, and he said, "Well, you've just succumbed to the ultimate brainwashing. Don't you understand?" So
Yeah, no.
You got to
Too
do what you got
bad.
to do.
Oh my god.
this
Then
is
she
very
runs
strange.
away.
The regent screams out, "She did it because she's impure. Her blood. She's a foreigner." Like there's some weird like commentary like that's inserted
Yeah.
all of a sudden out of nowhere. That you're like, Zach, what are you doing? That
Well,
is
they're the mother world, of
disastrous.
course. Yeah.
Right. And then yeah,
They're
there's
like
a
the
lot
Empire.
of snake, heretic, betrayer, like all these.
But she
like,
gives
Basically,
the
imagine the
star.
Empire, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna call them something else. Don't worry about it. You can see that where it's like, oh, obviously that would have been the Empire if Disney allowed
Of
him to
course.
make his Star
let's
Wars.
make him 40% more Nazi-ish. So,
Yeah. But so Belisari, as her adopted father, is now in charge, and that's why he wants to, start a war and everything.
Well, they were going to stop the war, and he really likes war.
Yeah, sure.
it's fun
He
to
convinced the
do.
entire Senate to turn on the president
king.
or the king or whatever.
The
Yep.
Senate.
Kill
I
his
am
child.
the Senate.
The Senate. Damn, he is the Senate.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's freaking Sheev Palpatine out here, and then Admiral
Mhm.
Noble is Darth Vader, basically.
Is
Right.
Regent Belisari suddenly Scottish in this movie? And
Yes.
was he
I
Scottish
think he was
in the
always
last
Scottish,
movie?
but
I don't
yeah,
know
it's
about
confusing.
that. I don't know if he was, Jacob.
And
He was played by a
either.
Scottish actor, I believe.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then.
Do it.
Well, his beard looks terrible.
Do it.
Daughter.
Do it.
Yeah.
Keller.
An
Oh
off-worlder.
Man.
Mudblood, he says at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. The
I
Scargiver.
forgive you. I forgive you. Don't.
So edgy.
That's what the princess says. It's so edgy.
Haunted.
Okay, though, she survived, as we learn at the end of this movie, of course. Big cliffhanger. She survived.
Please don't spoil this movie for me.
I'm sorry.
No.
It's very
We're
important.
still in backstory town though, like for real.
That's what's incredible, Mike.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I like the backstories because they're more interesting than the actual movie that's happening.
And what people said about the first movie is like, here's the great General Titus, but never once do we see him do great generaling. We still don't. We see him getting his dudes killed after doing some generaling, but we never see them earning their their titles,
Well,
except for like Nemesis fighting a spider.
On
Yeah.
my planet, it's not the Regent Belisarius we have to worry about. It's Al Capone.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Well, I made this point a
Exactly.
lot in the first one that we did, where I said basically this movie feels like a video game. It's like a video game cutscenes, and the way the plot unfolds, it's very video game like, where you go from one location to another, meeting a new character. This one I felt, again, it's very video game esque, where it's like, okay, obviously these are all the members of your party that you would accumulate over time, and each one has their own personal quest that you would go do to, gain their trust or whatever. They're all the different companions that we would have. So you're like, oh, let's go do General Titus's quest now and avenge him, and then we'll do Nemesis quest, and then we'll do Tarak's quest, and etc.
Jacob, you are self-described as the king of trash sci-fi TV, where you'll be like,
Yes.
oh, I watch, all these. I'm realizing now you are also the king of these style video games, where I hear you describe like, what are you doing in Starfield? Well, we have to go to General Titus's planet because I'm not going to play it much more. It's not very good. So I'll be like, oh, you should have like returned that, dude. That sounds like terrible.
No, like, if you've ever played the Mass Effect games, like, I think this movie is exactly structured like a Mass Effect game, where you meet all these different characters that join your ship over time. Each one of them has like a personal quest. Like, it's very video game-esque. And you know what? This is the kind of movie that I would normally like. As the contrarian who loves bad sci-fi, I would defend this movie. But even I cannot defend this movie because it's just that bad. And I wanted to, because I'm like, look, this is my niche. Okay, I'm going to defend the bad Snyder movie.
Yeah.
But I can't even defend it because it's so bad. The only thing I liked was the village defending scenes, which was mildly entertaining in like a Star Warsy type way.
Well, let's set that up now, because now that we've
I have one thing to note after the backstories is then Titus, he just starts singing, right?
Oh yeah, they're bonding. Yeah.
Let me make my case. He starts singing in some foreign language. It's some type of space language, and I'm just like, who speaks this? What language is this?
His home planet.
Understand
probably.
it? Like, do the Space Vikings? Everyone's like, oh, this is a banger. Like, everybody seems to know
No,
this
probably
song.
it's like a folk song from his home world, I'm assuming.
But they're not from his home world. Why do the Vikings be like, damn, this is hitting? Like,
well, you don't need to know the lyrics. It's just the vibes, It's just the vibes.
Jacob in our last episode was like, I saw Jaimin Hansao in the credits. He's my guy. Well, I was waiting for him this whole movie. And now, obviously, like, this, quote unquote, is more of his movie. But I got to say, Jacob, this movie is so poorly made. If I was him, Madam Web style, I would fire my fucking agent, and I would make a big stink about, like, how the fuck did I end up in this when I could be in real Star Wars? They make enough Star Wars now. I could be in real Star Wars.
I've been in two different MCU roles. He's been two different characters.
He's been all the DC. He was the Fish King in Aquaman, and he's the Shazam wizard.
It's just so funny, like, basically they're all in this tavern, like, drinking and partying and stuff, like, they're all bonding, like, they've been together for so long and they've done so much, and it's like, we didn't see them do anything. Like, we don't even know who these characters don't know each other, and we don't even know who they are. So, like, none of this means anything. Like, if you compare it to, like, Lord of the Rings, when you get to know the Fellowship, like, you really get to know everyone in the Fellowship, with some characters less, like Legolas is more of a side character and stuff. But
didn't you hear the little Swedish girl give her gifts, Jacob? She described everyone perfectly.
Yeah, but it's like you're forcing us to think that there's some kind of like we've known these characters for so long. It's like, I don't know anything. Like, I cannot name one thing about the personality of these characters, or like what they want. Like, they all just want revenge, obviously, against the Empire. But it's like, it's like the movie is telling me that I know these characters when I don't actually know them. It's very,
because like Zack Snyder, he knows that that's what happens in a movie. There's the scene where everyone is bonded, but he doesn't know how to create the circumstance for the characters to bond in his movie. So he has to give out banners.
Basically, I just picked all of you up on my spaceship. Then we had a little battle, and then we came back to my village. And we've known each other for like a week. And now we're
done
supposed
some
to
grain for 3 days, and now we're best friends.
Yeah.
Mostly we've done chores, and we're all wearing like slacks and like.
And Jaimin Hansu's wearing like a newsboy cap and suspenders. He's doing great. He's really adjusting to village life.
Yeah.
Let's show them
more
that our
concrete.
ale is good and our friendship is fine and that we're all nice and we'll sing our songs and they'll sing their songs to us and we're all happy. You said Titus or no, what's Ed Screen's name?
Admiral Noble.
You said Admiral Noble was dead. How can we trust you? Oh, what's the thing going on in the background with the young guy who worked for the army in the last one? Because he met Jimmy the robot, and then in this one, he's just like, I guess, banging that young girl because he just fucking lives here.
Well, you remember in the last one, the patrol came to like watch over that the grain was getting, but everyone on that patrol was like evil and they were gonna like rape that one girl, and then the one guy was like, no, I'm not gonna let that happen. And that's the guy that was like, you know what, fuck you guys. So they killed all the bad ones, so he's the only one left. So he turned against he was a soldier for them, but he turned against the mother world.
Checking in, the grain's still coming. The grain's still coming. We love. I was just talking to them. They love the grain.
Oh, they're out there working the building.
Can you put your boss on the line? I would just love to talk to him for 2 seconds. No, he was talking about how good the grain is. I can't stop him from getting that grain.
Yeah, sorry, he's on our.
But then immediately they're like, well, obviously he killed the rest of his patrol and he's turned against us. Like, so they are not fooled by him at all.
So Jacob, what would be the point of those scenes then? I would ask you.
Han Solo does that thing where he pretends to be a soldier, and it's funny, right? And I want to do that too.
We're all good down here.
Yeah. Everything's fine here.
Basically,
how are you?
How are you?
They should have done that.
Boring conversation anyway. Yeah, that's a good movie. That's a better movie than this. We should just talk about that.
We do have a New Hope. They go up to this.
Remember that scene in? Yes, you remember that scene in A New Hope where they say we can't use the Death Star on Alderaan. They've put the grain inside the barns. We'll have to
blow up the grain.
That is one of the most baffling things. It's like that's why Titus says like we need to get the grain out of the field because they won't blow up the grain. It'll protect us. And it's like,
well, it's smart because
why
they're
do
not
you care
blow up
about the grain
I,
that much?
I would time
they
out.
need to feed their citizens, right?
It's
about
the
everybody
grain
here.
Scargiver.
They don't care about the grain. I feel like they don't.
Well, only because he was like,
if all a ruse.
If we get the Scargiver, we don't care about the grain. But if we got both, that would be better.
I don't know. He says at one point, he says, "That's my grain. That's why we'll be getting it." And you're like, Admiral Noble, you died. You came back to life.
I mean, once at the end, the Scargiver's on the ship, and he's like, "All right, fucking blow up the village. I don't care about the grain. I don't care about our own soldiers down there." Yeah.
Yep. It says more, fire everything, Kylo Ren.
Yes. And as a viewer, I'm like, you've talked about this grain for an hour and 40 minutes of a 2-hour movie. And at the last 20 minutes, you're telling me you didn't care about the grain?
Mm-hmm. Well, technically 4 hours of a supercut.
Yes, of a one movie, of a two.
Colin, you don't understand. The grain is like an optional sub objective of the quest. Really, you just need the Scargiver to complete the quest.
They came to that planet for the grain. She happened to live there. That was the story.
True, it's a big accident.
It's more just like now that he has the Scargiver, it's like that's more important than the grain. But I agree, it's stupid.
You're doing this, of course, because of you're getting your seat on the Senate. Well, don't I deserve one after the scar you've given me, Scargiver?
Yeah,
it was an honor to be scarred by you.
But I do like how they set up traps and whatnot for the.
Let's do the whole defense.
Yeah, we're doing the seventh.
Teach them, guerrilla warfare. Yeah, exactly.
Now, Mike, real quick, your favorite nemesis has been befriending a little boy. So obviously she's got to protect the children. That's
the child.
With her. Do you like any of that?
There's one line of dialogue in the previous movie of like, I used to have kids too. Like she felt kind of bad for Spider Lady, so we know she's going to form an attachment with a child. Because that's what happens in movies.
You think she told that kid, "I killed a spider last week"?
Probably, honestly.
Like, huge.
I called him Helm's Decoy because that's kind of what he felt like.
Yeah, she's like, acting cold on the outside, but really, she's got a good heart inside, and she cares about this kid.
This is the closest thing to an actual arc I think that exists in both of these movies. And it's the only thing that actually feels like there is some growth, quote unquote.
I think Gunnar. He kind of has an arc because he starts out as kind of like just this villager who's like scared of fighting or whatever, and then by the end he's like, I'm not scared to fight. I'm a warrior too.
Okay, here's my character who has an arc. The nameless blonde villager woman who starts out in the last movie kind of scared and meets Jimmy and puts a little flower in his hair.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, they're like, let's see what kind of warrior you are. Hold on, hold up, hold your elbow up and to the left. Oh, you're a perfect shot. You did it. Great work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then she's in love with this army guy that turned against the mother world. So they've got that going on.
I guess there's a lot of development. You're right.
Well, I thought Jimon Hansu, like he said, he's more of a character in this, but I thought he was going to get more to do because it's like he's leading kind of the defense. He's got this whole thing where he's guilty because he got his whole army killed or whatever, and then he never really gets resolution from that of like,
well, I'll never surrender, he says. That's what you have to understand if you're going to serve with me. And they say,
I'm going to fight to the death.
But I want to stop you right now, Jacob, because how dare you say he is underserved when I'll flash back real quick and say, how did we leave that table of backstories without Anthony Hopkins' robot coming up and going, oh, my tale? Who, me, Jimmy? You want to hear my story?
Well, that's later when she goes.
But we get one scene of Jimmy in this movie. How is it in the second movie there's no Jimmy after a movie that already had no Jimmy?
There's my favorite scene where she goes to talk to him and she's like, hello, James. And he's like, oh, I've not heard that name in a long time. People just call me Jimmy, not James.
I get a thrill when I hear the name James that I have not gotten in quite a while.
He was sitting on the hill listening to the song too, you know? Yeah, he got a cutaway, but he's not in this.
Basically, his whole deal is that he's sworn to the slain king and to his daughter, the princess, and he's like a sworn knight or whatever, a protector.
So he has a purpose now.
Yeah.
Jacob, do you think it's crazy that when he comes into that cave, or when Kora comes into that cave to meet Jimmy, that he says that he knows that she's been sent there to work on the Buffalo Bill case and that he knows that she is casing as an FBI profiler to hunt down a serial killer?
Yeah, it's possible.
Ah, I smelled you come in, Kora, with your...
with your cheap bag and your good shoes and... Yeah.
That's what it is. I wanted to say fava beans. I was like, she's not wearing fava beans.
A nice Chianti.
How did I get these horns you're asking?
Those are good movies, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Anthony Hopkins, 90 years old. I'm glad he got a paycheck.
Is he?
I don't know how old he is, but I'm going to guess 90.
There's no way.
Watkins. I like to think he was like, that AI, just let him do my voice with that. I don't want to record these lines.
I'll sign off on this one. You can use it on this one.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he lives in like London. So I'm pretty sure he just probably recorded his lines in London and then sent them in and was like, how's this?
Yeah, they sent like a house care kind of like a doctor, but just a dude with a microphone. They just sent him to his house, had him sit down in front of Anthony with a Zoom for 1 hour, and then return.
Yeah. But so
the battle scene, Jacob, you're saying it's
they attack the village.
There's things happening, fine, but the sense of geography is all over the place. Like I don't have a sense of what the plan is. What are your defensive because they don't tell us the plan,
pop out
so
of
we
the
can
ground.
Be surprised. Right.
They shoot the rocket launchers.
That's
this whole. We hide in the barn. And then
they're setting a trap but then when they land, Admiral Noble's like, if you turn yourself in, Kora, Arthaleus, then I will let the village go. And she's ready to do it, but then Gunnar is like, no, you can't. We have to fight.
Right.
Gunnar, no.
So it's just like so conflicted though, because it's like, all right, she's gonna make the ultimate sacrifice to save everybody. Gunnar can't do that selfishly, and then puts everybody at risk.
Well, Gunnar just didn't want to lose his new girlfriend. He's like,
it's selfish.
Look, I just started dating this girl. She's really hot. Like, I'm not gonna let her
in my name. I'm
usually
motivated,
so this is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm Gunnar. I'm out here gooning.
I do what I do.
So he sets the trap off.
They pop out. They got little trap doors. They shoot a rocket launcher into the ship, blows up one of the ships. That's pretty cool. Then you got strong Viking guy who gets a whole fight scene with.
How did he
Noble.
become a warrior too? Just out of nowhere.
Well,
he's a main
he's just
character
harvesting
now.
all that grain.
And
He got
how
really
does he
muscular.
not fucking ride anything? But so we get these factions. It's basically that everybody's split up. So Mike's favorite nemesis, she's watching the kids. The women and children, they're in the barns. Good. Send a sentry down, because after we're done bleep blopping, we'll
kill
zip zap
the women and children.
Kill the
No,
women.
we'll capture the women and children and kill everybody else.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, they're gonna hold them
people.
hostage. Yeah.
Meanwhile, General Titus, separate faction. Viking guy, separate faction.
Turok,
Furiosa and Turok.
Yes, Furiosa.
They're all kind of just hanging out in different buildings.
Furiosa has knives. Turok has these like double axes now. Like, we're revealing everybody's power. Titus has like the Greek armor, but then kind of like a shotgun that he doesn't really use.
Just
right?
a gun.
Yeah.
But everybody gives the exact same in a row. Well, I guess we're going out there, and if you're with me, then we ride. Cut to the next person. Well, if the battle today means our death, let it be the enemy's death. Then we ride. Where you're just like, they're all gonna give the battle speech.
The nemesis is like,
they're all so badass.
Basically, the blue lightsaber guys go up, and she's like, "I'm gonna fight you single combat, do a bunch of cool shit." This kid has got a little knife. He's like, "I'm ready to fight too." You know.
Stabs a guy in the dick.
Yeah.
It's a good sword, Aragorn says, and he uses that knife to stab a guy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you think the robots, Mike, or do you think the people with the blue hands also have robot hands, or do you think that doesn't matter unless
special Noble ends up with one too? So I think they just made a lightsaber.
But do you remember when like Gunnar or someone tries to pick one up when he's on the ship and it's like hot? He's like, ow, ow.
Right.
Oh, again, like, he's gotta wait for it to cool down. Or Kora picks it up.
Yes, I don't know.
I thought they were both fighting with one. Like, so she.
Yeah, but Kora gets one
act,
from another person. She's like, "Oh, it's hot," and then she waits for it to like cool down. And it turns into a normal sword, and then she uses that. Or maybe
I guess that's true. No, that is true. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
But basically, so this whole time, Kora and Gunnar have this secret plan. While
here's the plan.
The battle is a big distraction. Basically, they're going to use the ship that she originally crash landed on the planet with, that they got working again, and they're going to fly it up. Now, here's the thing with this plan. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but basically their plan involves they're going to infiltrate the mothership and blow it up from the inside. But to do this, they're going to disguise themselves as like injured soldiers.
Gunnar puts a smoke grenade on their ship, and the guy goes, "Good Lord, that ship's damaged. Quickly flag it inside."
Yeah.
Let's get those soldiers in. We love soldiers.
So part of their plan is to, all right, we're going to pretend to be injured and then kill a bunch of medics that are just trying to like save your life. Like, first of all, I'm pretty sure that's kind of fucked up. And
even
I'm pretty sure that's a war crime.
Kill medics. Yeah.
You're not supposed to kill unarmed medics that don't know that you're like about to kill them. So just kill a bunch of medics. I get like the mother world is bad and stuff, but they're like, just trying to do their job. They're just healers.
Very
He's
Star Wars
insane.
They're the contractors on the Death Star too, right?
Yeah.
Spill some innocent blood for a revolution.
Like that one guy, the one guy that turned against them is the only good, like the only soldier that's like redeemable, I guess.
Right. He's also, I guess so. The guy on the planet. The guys who are healing them are dressed like World War I American officers. The entire ship, we realized, runs on coal. Okay. The Belisarius, again, there's a Senate. It's Greek. It's kind of Warhammer. The penis, the
Admiral Noble's got like
a ship is powered by a woman
Nazi
again.
uniform. He's
Admiral,
got a big
the
Nazi hat.
So it seems like Emperor Greek, officer Nazi,
space fascist,
low level American GI. Where you're just like, Zach, you mixed too much up. You don't have any artistic eye if you just do everything.
It's just a mishmash of a bunch of stuff.
But it's cool.
Like,
every scene should be cool.
Yeah.
It's cool though, yeah.
I don't know.
It's maximalist is how I described the previous one. Like, because it is everything, every reference, every cool thing.
Yeah, but like
ever,
every
right?
planet has their own aesthetic. Like the Empire are like these weird Dune people, but they've got like, the Empire and everything. I don't know.
And they put those weird bags on Titus's people's head too, like the soldiers that they're
Yeah.
going to wipe out. So like,
Right.
is that for traders and musicians?
We just
Are
like
all
putting
musicians traders,
hoods
and we
on
just like
people's.
these bags?
Before we
Yeah.
execute you, your violin, we recommend you play a song.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Got to score it yourself. Who will be your second? Yeah.
But basically, she's infiltrating this ship.
So we're
Admiral
doing A New
Noble
Hope.
finds out. They're like, okay, the
Yeah.
Scargiver is on the
Flash
ship.
Return of
That's
the
all
Jedi.
we cared about.
Oh yeah.
Blow up the village with our big guns because we don't care about that anymore. We got the Scargiver. They're turning their big guns. It's very Star Wars, like, oh, power up the Death Star. We're about to blow up Endor and shit.
The tank comes out. They call it a mech in the subtitles, but it's like a tank. It doesn't
Yeah.
look
No, that's Ghost in the Shell robot.
Yes,
That's
the
100%.
spider walk.
Yeah.
That's
Even
cool,
maybe the
Mike.
later
With the
ones in
spider
the series,
tank.
their
Yeah.
design is slightly different, but that's a Ghost in the Shell
Yeah.
robot, 100%.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, it is.
I like
cool. It's
some of the
badass.
aesthetics
and
of
the
like.
robot does the thing. He rips the fucking hatch off just like Kusanagi
Yeah.
does in the freaking anime. It's Ghost
That's
in
what
the
I'm
Shell
saying. I
robot.
like
Wow.
some of the aesthetics of like the mech and the guns and stuff. Like
But it's
I like
shot
the
like shit.
yeah. But like the guns are cool. Like some of them are like plasma muskets kind of thing where they like
They're like blunderbuss.
Yeah.
It's like
Really
you
trench
do
warfare.
one, a big thing shoots out, you jam it in, you pull the trigger again. I did like that, Jacob. Yeah.
Well, we didn't mention
There's
this
like
bit.
a breech
There's this-
loading thing that Furiosa uses. It was kind of neat. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Like just slam a giant shell. Like that was cool, but it's like
Yeah.
But this strong Viking guy, this unnamed villager that's like just a big strong guy. He's
Why
like,
did they
"Oh,
even go get heroes? This guy almost sealed the deal
he
himself.
one's Darth Vader. Yeah, he almost
better
does
than
it.
Gunnar?" Yeah.
Yeah, man.
He sees Admiral Noble. He jumps on his ship. He's like, "I'm about to fuck you up." They get into a fight. He loses, and then he like throws him out of the thing, and then he dies. And it's like, okay, good try. You tried.
Snivels away, goes back up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then we have Kora. She's killing a bunch of people. She's trying to get to Noble. She finally meets him head on, and they're like, okay, we're about to fucking fight and shit.
She lays the bombs at the woman machine.
Yeah, that's the thing. They put the bombs on the engine, and it blows up right before they're about to shoot the village. It was perfect timing. They knew the
it throws
timing
the
exactly
cannon
when they
off.
would shoot the thing. If it
Mhm.
was a second later, that village would have been destroyed. So it's a good thing they timed that bomb right.
Exactly. Well, that's what happens in movies. You just
Yeah.
barely make it, you know.
So it shoots, it blows up the ship, it goes, and it shoots somewhere else instead. So that's a good thing.
And then the ship starts to go down slowly, and we get an extended lightsaber battle at 90, let's say 87 degrees vertical. Yeah.
But then we have Gunnar. He's hiding with a gun.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's able to like help out Kora.
Or I'm so scared.
Oh, yeah.
Because even Noble's about to beat Kora because she's kind of like losing the fight. And then
I'm not scared anymore.
He stabs him, but then he gets shot or something. What happens to him? Yeah, I think he
I
gets
can't remember how Noble dies. I've already forgotten.
No, this is the best part because he gets stabbed and then he like turns around and he's like, what the fuck, this guy again? And then Kora like cuts his head off. So he gets beheaded.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, he's dead finally for good. He ain't coming back.
And so Noble's dead. Gunnar is hurt. Let's jump back to Earth real quick. Nemesis dies.
She dies in combat. She's fighting. Basically, she's fighting this one guy. Then the little kid comes up, stabs him. He's like, all right, fuck you, kid. Picks the kid up by like his throat. And then she grabs that knife and then stabs him in the jugular or something, kills him. But then she succumbs to her wounds.
Stabbed, yeah.
They cut off one of her robo hands mid that fight. That sucked.
So then she just starts fighting with one hand.
And again, there's some neat choreography here. And she kind of becomes the, spoilers, Toshiro Mifune character from Seven Samurai.
Right.
You know?
I like the imagery when she's wearing the hat and she's like standing in front of the barn and stuff. Like it's a cool shot.
And that's like a traditional, like old school Korean, like style informed hat. Like that's like a, you know, historical look. Like she has a cool.
You can see how
everything about these. I just keep every time I saw her, I'm like, I'm sorry, Baydana. I'm sorry that you're here. I'm
Yeah,
sorry
she would have
that
been a
you're here.
cool. She would have been a cool Jedi character if this was a Star
Mike,
Wars.
you said
yeah.
the yes. Mike, you said she was from Sense8. Is that what she was?
She's Sense8, yeah, and she's done some movies with
I never watched that.
old boy director that she did Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. She did The Host.
Oh,
She was in The Host, which is that monster
oh,
movie.
is she the little
Oh,
girl who
yeah,
gets
Bong
taken
Joon-ho.
in the host? She's like
No, she's the
the
archery. She's the cousin or the sister who's really good at
okay.
archery.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Okay, yeah,
That's a
Bong
dope-
Joon-ho,
okay.
great
Yeah.
Korean director.
I don't know.
So I
She's
feel
dope.
like she deserves better than this role. But yeah, she did Sense8
Yeah.
and Wachowskis and stuff. So, which is also she
Right.
plays a kick-ass like boxer. She's very cool in that too. So
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
But
rip.
But rip to her and rip to Gooner, who gooned too hard.
Close to the sun.
Yeah.
Kora.
Goon too soon.
He sacrifices himself. And this was interesting because a lot of times it's like, so Kora is like the main character. And a lot of times I actually like this because when a lot of times the main character is like this male hero, and then his love interest, female girlfriend or whatever, ends up dying, and that becomes like motivation for this male character. So I like that they've flipped it. Which Zack Snyder, everyone's like, oh, he's appeals to the male gaze or whatever, but he's like, no, we'll get this strong female character, and then
non-binary
Gooner will die.
Her Gooner dies.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, just while we're going with trope, she obviously has a Pa Kent and that the sort of elder statesman of the village who's like, we met Kora 2 seasons ago, and the guy who they like show her spaceship that they turn on or whatever. And I would argue General Titus is her Obi-Wan. I guess you could kind of say. I thought for sure they'd be done for. So at the end of the movie, when those two say to each other, Titus, we did it. And then Titus goes, yeah. I was like, oh, wow. I'm kind of surprised you're both still here.
No, I'm glad Titus lived because he's going to be a big part of the next movie that they're definitely going to make. Because he's like, the whole time he secretly knows that the princess is still alive, and that's the big cliffhanger. It's like, no, Kora, you thought you killed the princess, but secretly she's alive, and she's leading the resistance, which we're gonna go join right now.
And here's
and then the movie
it was awesome because I know all this, and I know you're tortured by what you've done, right? You
feel
guilt. But I'm gonna wait until the end of the battle, the end of everything, and when you're about to confess out of guilt. Then I'll let you off the hook.
I probably could have told you a lot sooner.
He was going to do it. He dropped the neg about the water stuff, and he was clearly like, fine, I'm going to like not tell you you're
She wasn't ready to she wasn't ready to disclose her backstory yet, so he didn't tell her. But so that's the hook for the next movie, is that it's time the resistance is gonna fight back against the mother world. And it's going to be
first, and then the battle. I think you're right.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Oh, it'll be we have to find the princess. Wow, what an adventure that was. Oh, but the stakes are this because I can't save the world because X and Y. Well, then next time we're going to get that and take the fight to Mother World. Yeah.
Do you think so? The princess we see has powers that she can bring things back to life or whatever. Do you think she's going to bring Gooner back to life?
I didn't even, Jacob. You're so invested. You're my
so
brain.
Smart.
I got to email Zack Snyder right now.
That's the straightest line. He definitely is there.
Where do you think this is going? What could this possibly lead to? Truly, it ends, and I'm like, good. Click. It's off. The idea that you're like, what do you think next? That's great. Yeah, that could have Gooner could come back. That's great.
No, that is like the most shallow, like not shallow, but it's like the straightest line of like, I was sad because I killed someone I was supposed to protect, and now I'm going to bring someone I was supposed to protect back to life, and I'll feel better.
Somehow Gooner returned.
But she is the life princess, and together, okay.
And she will lead the resistance against the Mother World and retake and restore it to its former glory as a peaceful world.
Get the princess's wish to have a peaceful Mother World. That's right.
Yes.
Wow.
And we'll be nice to all the rebel moons out there.
All the Velts out there. Shout out to all the Velts. When this happened and they revealed like the princess is alive and we're gonna go get her, I like audibly out loud at home alone was like, "There's more." I was shocked.
There's more. Stay tuned.
Like, there's more. Like Zach, please, like you can't. I couldn't believe
That's just the hook for the next
it's like
movie.
A threat.
Yeah, I was like, please, like don't, like That's why
That's
he needs
like,
to be a movie jail.
this movie is like Dune 2 for sickos. And Dune 2, they're like, guess what? We're gonna make Dune 3 just, if people like this one at the end. And so now this one, they're like, we need something like that, where it's like, yeah, there's more. Don't worry.
There's more.
Congratulations,
Jimmy
Faye
said
Dunah.
so.
You're off the hook.
Yeah, you're free.
You're free at last.
Charlie Hunnam is the guy I look at this where I'm like, smart.
Yeah,
I wish you would have succeeded,
he was the
Charlie.
Lando in
Yeah.
the first one,
Yep,
but then
he
if
was.
Lando just died.
Yeah.
Charlie Hunnam was right.
And then we didn't even mention that Ray Farmer's sister comes in, the Devra Bloodaxe, and is like,
Yeah.
guess what? I'm here with my fleet now. Let's wipe out all these other
That's
ships.
the rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Everybody's here. Right.
And now
we made
I'm
it.
joining your
Hey,
cause
guys.
because you've made me believe in your cause. So
I just want you to know that Ray Fisher, he gave up a lot and that he deserves a job again. Thank you. Like, oh, wow. Cleopatra Coleman said that? That's great.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's
So
Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver.
Uh-huh. What
Great movie.
What movies were in this movie? We definitely had a lot of Star Wars references. We had Ghost in the Shell. I think I want to say there's a little bit of Fantastic Beasts and Chicago Planet with the Griffins. That's like young Dumbledore Planet, right?
Yeah. Well, those are obviously
I know
hippogriffs.
I know
Yeah.
we're not all big
Bucky.
Warhammer people, but just the when they say like the mech stuff and whatever
The
that
Imperium.
thing do
Yeah.
and
Oh,
yeah. And the hooking your brain up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Space Marines.
Maybe missed opportunity. Like we bring Noble back, but they don't. They're like, oh, he might have brain damage. I'm like, oh, he's gonna be like crazy. And he's like, I'm just normal. I'm just back. No adverse effects whatsoever.
The
You
two
should have
people
got like a cool mask to wear or something.
that would have been dope. The two people, man.
Kylo
if I'm Ed Screen, and if I'm Jamin Haisu, I fire my agents. Like it's over. It's over.
Mhm.
Like I'm like, what have you done to
Yeah.
me? How dare you do this? It's over.
Well, yeah. I know it's a lot like Dune too, because it's like the villagers are the Fremen and they're fighting against the Harkonnens, which are the mother world attacking basically. It's the same
Over
fucking thing.
resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
These grain is just the spice of this world,
the
right?
grain
Grain
must
is so
flow.
important.
Jimmy shows
You
up.
can't
to
grow
beat-
grain anywhere else. Yeah.
That's right.
James.
Jimmy shows up to beat the tank. Then he disappears again.
Yeah.
Then they come back down and Gunnar dies, and we learn the whole secret of the princess. And Jimmy appears and he says, and I brought you this. And it's a piece of his
An
broken
antler.
antlers that he's been wearing this whole time.
Thanks,
he didn't
man.
explain about why he's wearing.
fuck is
and
that?
they go, and the handsome Viking goes, ha ha ha, robot brother, are you saying you wish to take up arms with us as well? Where you're like,
He's like, I guess so, yeah.
buddy, I don't think he said a fucking word like that. I think he walked up to you and gave you his dumb fucking antlers that make no fucking sense.
He made a crown this time too. He changed it up.
Yeah.
Made antler crown. It's so wild.
Do
Do they speak to each other? It's like Legolas and Frodo.
No, there's no.
Like they never speak.
Who's the robot though? He's kind of Gandalfy, I guess. I don't know.
I guess is And I was just thinking of the fact of characters that speak to each other one time.
Yes,
in
no, I love
our
it.
saga.
You're right. But that guy is the Legolas / Gimli.
Maybe like a Gimli. He does have a hammer, right?
Yeah.
I have this hammer.
None of this should be compared to Lord of the Rings. We should.
Yeah, this is way better.
Unfair.
The soundtrack is so bad. It keeps coming in with this haunting Viking score that is terrible. When it cuts to the end credits, we did Planet of the Apes last episode. Please go back and listen to that. We talked about the incredible Goldsmith score in that, the staccato, strange jazz almost, and playing with the stark dropping of sound. In this, it's Junkie XL, right? It's Junkie XL. We're gonna see him again in Furiosa, like the biggest, most bombastic. It's basically just static. It's terrible. I mean, there's nothing to it. It's garbage. It's noise.
Yeah, the best song in the movie is "Assassination" in D minor. Like,
what about when they're harvesting the wheat?
The actual score is not like
There's some kind of weird. There's some kind of folk song that plays over when there's harvesting the wheat too, which is like,
yes,
harvest the wheat.
it's horrible.
We love the wheat.
Diggy hole.
Like, if a local theater, Jacob, put on a stage production of Lord of the Rings, and they were like, and we hired a local choir to just kind of like do a song that sounds like Elvish, I'd be like,
yeah.
Oh, and that's the song they played. I'd be like, oh, that turned out nice for your local theater show.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's
terrible.
what they're trying to hint that they're like, oh, you don't understand. These people have this whole culture of space Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they just say skull when they drink. It's like,
Skull.
yeah, that's like your Earth Vikings that live on this planet for some reason.
Like the space Irish in Star Trek.
Yeah. But you know what? Look, there's an alternate world out there where instead of Star Wars, this is the biggest franchise in the world, and everybody loves it.
That's not true.
And there's Star Wars never existed.
No world like that.
If there is, it's called the Mother World, and I want nothing to do with it.
That's the Mother World.
Yeah.
The worst place. Wow.
Well,
yeah.
That's the Scargiver.
That's the Scargiver. I think we can go to final thoughts. I think it's okay.
I think it's time.
All right. That's a transition.
We've brought in the harvest, and it's time.
Right.
We're back. We're talking Rebel Moon, the rebel without a cause. Zack
Rebel
Snyder
Goon
himself.
is what I like to call it.
Rebel Gooner. Rebel Gooner.
I'm Gooner.
I'm Gooner. Welcome to my Rebel Mooner.
Rebel Nooner. Oh my God.
Kora, I've loved you for 2 seasons now. I'm sorry. Michael Hoostman. You reward your agent. This is about as good as you're going to get. This is thank you for doing that for me. I'm proud of you making me the lead in a movie. That was nice.
As I pointed out in the last one.
Yes, please say it.
Gooner and Admiral Noble, those 2 actors, of course, played the same character in Game of Thrones. Dario Naharis, you Throne heads out there will remember. They replaced this guy like midway through the show with a guy that looked nothing like him.
Nothing like him.
Didn't try to make
a weird
him look
bald guy that they replaced with
different.
Yeah. And those 2 actors would go on to star in this masterpiece.
Yep.
Rebel Moon.
And neither of them survived the second movie, so the jury's still out on who carries. Who's the true Naharis? We'll never know.
And did we do research? Did we find out if they had any conversation on the set about how they were both on that TV show and
I would have to
played
imagine.
that same part?
Like Michael Hoosman was like, sorry for replacing you on that show, man.
Ed, I just heard the news. Did you know that I was the role you left? Yes, I've known it for a long time, Michael. Oh my God, wow. That's so crazy.
And here we are, prestige streaming content once again in the Rebel Moon. They're like, wow, we just.
I'll tell you what,
I'm Gooner.
Who really won out of all the actors was Corey Stoll, because remember he was in the very beginning, and then he died, and he's like, "Hey, I got to be in that movie, and then I got out of there."
Basically, the guy who like does the boxing thing in this. He's like the one random towns guy who like fights Ed Screen. Like you almost wonder, like, why did they kill Corey Stoll in that? I guess
he was the chief.
Yeah,
they're like, we're gonna kill your chief. Yeah,
you have to,
Corey Stoll.
Oh boy,
blood for the blood gods. You have to show that the bad guys are bad. The opposite. What did we? Yeah. The John Wick we called it. You got to kill the dog as opposed to saving the cat. That's what that scene was. You got to.
That's right, Mike. That's good.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this: if you had to give this a score on Letterboxd out of 5 stars, what would you give it? You can use half stars too.
Can I do
Colin,
a black hole that eats all the
I believe Colin, you gave the first movie a half star when you rated it.
I gave it a half star. It's now one of my most popular reviews, which is just me saying, "Dear God, Zach, you can go lower." To which now I say, "Yes, you can go lower," and it's astounding.
That's funny.
Giving this 0.
Yep.
Wow.
If I could.
So you think this is his worst movie?
I think this is his worst movie.
But what about if you just took, like I said, what if you just combine these 2 movies into one movie?
I'm excited for Mike to do that one day. I would argue again. Is it this? Like this is the one you make the cut of? Again, I'm going to say this now. We're not doing an episode. There will be no part 3. There will be no part 4 for the director's cut.
Please.
If there is the child, the life giver, or whatever they call Yes,
Yeah.
the next one
The
will do
Peacemaker.
that. There will be no cut talk. We will do on a
Oh
whatcha.
no, I
Jacob
agree
will
with
say,
that.
Yeah.
actually, the 4-hour version does make it better, and I will laugh at you when you say that.
Well,
but we will
there's
not
this
do that.
insane
It's a
thing
lot
where
more
he
Ray
said
Fisher in the 4-hour one.
basically it was this whole insane marketing strategy that Netflix and Zack Snyder had, where they're like, we're gonna try to manufacture a Snyder cut by planning a different director's cut. Like they put these movies out knowing that they're gonna have a director's cut, and according to Zack Snyder, like every take, like even if it's the same dialogue, they would use a different take in this other version
Right.
just to make it different. So like every scene in the other version is different. So it's like
It's
a completely
not how
different
you
movie.
make a good movie.
That's not
He
how you make an
knows
ultimate
that.
cut.
He went to film school. He knows that you hire a DP. He knows that you
Yeah.
don't split a movie in two and then say you're going to make 4 different versions of it. He knows this. I don't understand what this
It's
game
insane.
is.
And I don't understand why Netflix signed on to do this, because basically he went to Disney and he was like, check it out, I've got this great idea for a Star Wars. This is
That's
him
bad,
coming
they
off of
said.
DC, right? You know, he
Mhm.
was managing the DC universe for however many years, got booted out of there after several failures, came to Disney and was like, check it out, I got a Star Wars, I know you're gonna love this, it's gonna be great. And Disney was like, we're gonna pass. So he's like, okay, I'm going to Netflix. Check it out, I've got a bootleg Star Wars, we'll just change the names
Hold on.
around.
Just hold on real quick before we do that. Let me build up some cred. I'll do
Yeah,
my zombie thing. Failure.
right.
Doesn't become the universe he pitches, the cartoon, the sequel, the
Yeah, well, he
spin-off.
made a prequel to that too that I never even saw.
I
Yeah.
never saw. He didn't direct that. I don't
Ah.
know. I don't know. But then he says, double down on me.
I'm gonna make my Star Wars. Netflix is like, all right, here's a bunch of money. We're sure this is gonna be amazing. Also, let's try to make a fake Snyder cut out of it because we love the publicity of the Snyder cut. Just because people
you liked all those
online,
nerds harassing people? Like what like what
like
do you mean?
they tricked like Warner Brothers into giving a bunch of extra money to finish the Snyder
Now, let's
cut.
be clear. That happened because a global pandemic happened and a company couldn't release movies in theaters and said,
Yeah,
I guess we could give this guy at his house
but they gave
$10
him
million
extra
to
money
finish
to
something he
finish the
had.
movie.
Because it costs you, but that's pennies to a studio at that
And then
point.
they just released it on HBO, so they made no money from that theatrically because it just, it was during that streaming model.
Subscribers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I don't
what
know,
they were
but
doing.
And
where
Jacob
does he
said
go
that's
from
a
here?
good movie. He started the podcast saying that was a good movie. I'd like
Well,
to
it's a better movie
remind people.
than the theatrical cut, and it's one of my favorite movies in the DC EU. I'll say that.
I'm glad there's more to the sentence.
Colin is giving
than
me
just
an
one of my favorite
expression.
movies.
Yeah, of total
What are you
disbelief right now.
saying? That's horrifying.
It's better. Okay, here's the thing: Batman versus Superman, bad movie.
Incredible.
The director's cut of that was better than the theatrical cut.
Sure.
So the thing is, yeah, Warner Brothers meddled in all of his movies and made worse theatrical cuts because they, focus grouped them to hell. So he's right about that. But you're
But
wrong
that's the
that you don't
lesson
want
you
to
learn, Jacob.
The point is you want to make the good movie the first time and not have the studio
Yes.
interfere, not make a movie and then make a different movie
Yeah.
that's supposedly better that you're gonna.
Zach,
Yeah.
sweetheart, the
Mhm.
lesson is you earn the trust. The lesson is that you make a product people feel good about. The lesson is not that you tinker for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
But-
the George Lucas of it, but you're right, Jacob. It's the wrong lesson was taken. We need to release the same movie 2 times as opposed to let's make a
Right.
good movie once. Yeah.
Because what Netflix was like, the publicity of the whole Snyder's cut was like so good, that we got to get in on that and we're going to make our own Snyder cut. And so they just gave him carte blanche to do whatever he wants. But I have a feeling after these movies, he's not going to get that because the reception has been so bad.
Here's what I think. I think the next announcement we're going to get. One, we're not getting any more of these. This did not land in the top 10 of the time it was released. They've got that Baby Reindeer show out right now that's like killing for Netflix, and it costs 1/1000th of this stupid movie. And I know this has been like a while ago, but I'm saying like truly it has not charted this film. So I think we're done with movies. I think the next announcement for Zach is he needs to find a strong partner, somebody like Henry Cavill, who's doing that Warhammer 40K show for Amazon. I think Zach needs to say, I will make the pilot for that. I will step down to TV, and I just need to completely reassess what my thing is. I need a strong collaborator. Henry Cavill has worked with Tom Cruise. He's learned what it means to be like the star / creative. We're going to try to create something like that. That would be my guidance for this man who, in my opinion, is completely fucking lost.
Yeah. I think he doesn't know what he doesn't know is the problem. Like, he's just out here winging it, like giving into his every whim, and it's like maybe.
And he's high on his own supply, Mike. He does not think this is when the response to this is a 14% on Rotten Tomato. He says, "Well, my films aren't for criticism," and to think that you create
the audience
art
will
that
love
is
them.
above criticism is a fascinating thing as a creator.
Yeah,
no, he definitely. Yeah, he's got like his hardcore fan base, so he's so like. Yeah, he's high on his own supply now. It's like, oh, these people think I'm the greatest director that's ever lived. Maybe I am.
Right. Oh my God. Again, back to the Kendrick Drake thing. It's like even your own team like has to know that you're incompetent, Zach. Like everyone around you has to know you're a fraud, but they can't say anything. It's like Drake. Like,
and you want the wheat to be slower? Yeah.
You want another scene of the wheat after this one? Yeah.
And that guy goes home and laughs, Mike. Like he talks to his friends and he's like, no, I'm like editing the Zach movie. No, like it's true what they say about the slow. Like you won't believe what we're doing.
It's almost
no, remember Zack Snyder said more people watched his movies than watched Barbie. He said that a little bit ago. He said
the reach
about part
Netflix
one.
has, it's incredible.
You don't understand. More people have seen part one, The Child of Fire, whatever the fuck, than they have
Netflix assured me 5 zillion seconds were streamed by 100 TVs in a Best Buy. So you know, I'm everybody tells me I'm great.
Yep.
Okay.
Stream Farm, we got you, Zach.
But
yeah, it's
you know, I'm looking forward to whatever he does next. Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be great.
But what do you think it is, Jacob? It's a movie?
I don't know. Well, I don't know who's going to keep giving him money that he's like, maybe he's got to do some like his, Sucker Punch or something where it's like smaller budget. He can just kind of focus on making that. Like, I don't know what he does. I don't know. Yeah. He still says for Sucker Punch, he wants to make a director's cut because it's his only movie that he's not totally happy with.
Okay.
Right. And man, again, like, not great either. Like, I don't think Sucker Punch is good. I didn't.
Nope.
It's just as empty as this almost. Like borderline. Like really, it's like pretty thin. It's all spectacle, babes fucking doing cool shit, but it's like there's almost nothing happening.
You know what?
No, his best movies are.
Cool is the only one I haven't seen. Maybe I'll watch that with 300, so I can bring in some of that energy.
Which one haven't you seen?
Owls of Ga'Hoole, his children's film.
I
can't imagine.
But
it's his Happy Feet.
His best movies, to me, which are 300 and Watchmen, are based on things. So he's good at basically adapting comic books into movies. He's good at that.
Shot for shot.
He's not good at like just comic book characters, like the DC characters making his own stories. But if he was directly adapting a graphic novel like Watchmen, the most famous graphic novel of all time, he can accurately transpose that to film in a way that I don't hate. I mean, some people don't like that movie as much. I think it's, for what it is, it's not bad.
That's one I would rewatch because I think maybe it's ahead of its time. But
you know, changed some things like the ending. Well, I won't go into it, but basically the big disaster in the ending, he kind of changed the method of that and changed certain things. But at least he sort of understood what made that comic book good. So maybe he just needs to go back to his roots and like adapt something,
Well, there's two things. I don't think he was writing those by himself, or there's a team. So if we've learned that he should have a cinematographer, he should have a writing partner at the very least.
Right, or like
So what are his directing
He
skills?
should not have input with the script. It
Dawn
should
of the
just be
Dead, right?
writer.
With James
Right.
Gunn writing.
That's
yeah.
maybe my favorite of his movies. Is the Dawn
I
of the
don't
Dead
know
with
what
James
his
Gunn.
skills are. I don't think
Exactly.
he draws great performances, Mike. So directing actors, I don't believe is a strength of his. I don't know what he brings to the table.
Yeah, it's like, okay, 300, sure, but like what? He wasn't the cinematographer. He just had slow-mo. Like what is his skill then? Does he have one? I'm
Just
interrogating this entire
I guess
man's
just
existence.
storyboarding some good shots, but not actually shooting it.
Special sequence supervisor is what he should be. Like, come up with a couple key sequences, because here, like, slow-mo would be cool. There's just so much of it. Like, use it sparingly. He has no restraint.
He should do previs. He should just be the guy who does previs, like Tim Miller, before he became the Sonic and Deadpool director. He was the guy who did previs, weird, interesting titles for David Fincher. Cool.
Come up with 6 sequences. Hey, we got a new, Avenger, a new Star Wars. Come up with an interesting looking battle, Zach. You got 6 months to come up with an interesting skeleton for a battle. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let him do that. Let him live in the computer with his little flying around camera. Go
crazy. You can do whatever you want with your little pieces.
Yeah. Let someone clean it up before you release it to the public.
Yeah, just whatever little worlds you live in, buddy.
We just can't let you unfiltered be putting stuff for public
consumption. No, it's dangerous.
It's dangerous. It's Candyman.
You can't. I like that you keep saying, Mike. He cannot keep getting away with this. That's what I'm left.
I think he can, though.
I
would argue that he can,
but no,
and he
no
will.
More. He can't keep getting
How
away.
dare you?
Well, I don't know what's up next for him, but we're just have to wait and see. But I don't know if I can talk about Zack Snyder anymore or the Rebel Moon before my head explodes with those scanners.
The story of 1,000 songs, Jacob. Now, put your head down or put your hood down before we leave here.
I'll play us off on my violin.
I just keep thinking of the meme of like guys always thinking about the Roman Empire, and he actually did it 8-2 Brute. I'm like, he is just the man's man, Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Thinking of the Roman Empire.
What a guy! What a guy! We love him.
What a guy!
Can't keep getting.
Like we said, we're gonna be talking about.
We love him,
again,
don't we, folks?
We're so close. This is 294, so I mean we're barreling towards 300.
Oh
Truly.
man, we're gonna have more Zack Snyder if we follow through on our plan.
So soon. So soon.
Yeah. Should we watch the sequel to 300 too?
I love that movie.
Oh God, might
With
as well.
Eva
I have
Green.
a huge crush on Eva Green. There are a lot of sex scenes in that movie. At one point, she has what she described as a battle sex scene. She fights while it's like incredible. It's crazy.
Fascinating. Okay, and I have not seen 302.
Oh man, I saw that a long time ago, I think, but I don't remember anything about it. So we're gonna have to reinvestigate.
He wants to make another of those. He wants to make
Kingdom, Empires, all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, this is Mike again. This is in our literary adaptations. Of course, this is based on the Bible.
Incredible.
300 is?
No, this Rebel Moon.
Oh yeah. 300 was based on history.
That's right.
This is Moses.
Talking about the Roman Empire, you think about the Spartan Empire.
That's right.
Well, yeah, Rise of the Empire. Man, Kingdom of Monkeys soon. A lot of crazy stuff in the world.
All right, now I brought you guys this piece of this antler, and that can only mean one thing: that it's time to wrap up before we go on our next journey to hunt down the princess. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna end this episode.
The Scargiver. There we go.
The Scargiver.
I thought that was final thoughts.
It is.
No, I'm saying we're rapid. We're going away right now. Do we know what is the next episode? Do we want to even say that? Do we know what's coming up next?
Do we know?
We can let our normies in.
We do. Yes, it's a subject
near and dear to our hearts.
Near and dear to our hearts. It's called. Should I say what it is?
Say what it is. Let's reveal.
We're gonna be talking the new Marvel animated series. Continued from the 90s, X-Men 97.
A show I was thinking about the entire time I was watching this movie, going, I wish I was watching that show I like instead. So get excited for that episode, normies. We'll be coming up with that one next week. do the usuals. Hit us up at normies_like_us. Rate, review, subscribe. That helps us out a lot. Write in if you're a regent of the area you take care of, and write in and say, "Do it, girl. Do it. Do it, child."
That is
Will it be-
Palpatine.
Dog.
It
He
is.
says, "Do it." He says,
But in
"I
a
am
Scottish
the Senate.
accent.
Do it." Yes, in a Scottish accent. Do it, child.
Do it, should. My name is Fluffy.
Rafi. That is that actor's name. From Echo. Or no, from Hawkeye?
From something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something. Who cares? We don't care either. Like we said, we're coming up next week. We're your hosts, of course. This is Regent Colin. I don't know.
This is just your host, Mike, and fuck the big Z. It's just the big me. You can't keep getting away with this.
Wow.
Yeah,
I like how you keep comparing this to Kendrick and
That's
Drake.
how much anger
Very
I have
topical.
towards-
Yeah,
It's not going to be topical in 200 years when this is listened to by aliens, but
that's right. And this is Jake Asarius. Normies, we love talking about our favorite movies with you. including
Okay,
Rebel
that's enough hard work. Now back to the wheat farm.
back to the wheat farm.
Gotta get all this wheat in before they show up.
They do got to make the parody Rebel Goon at this point.
That's what we'll make. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Bye.
Give us Patreon dollars. Bye.
Bye.
My name is Gunnar.
On it. What do you do? You'll never know. You'll never guess.
And the great Gouda.